What's going on, Organic Growth Nation? This is Cameron Devon Crew in the building this evening. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is February 20th, 2021. And I am in an absolutely fantastic mood. I literally woke up in a wonderful mood this morning. So this Saturday, my day, I finally caught up on sleep. My day has just been just a flow of positive, abundant energy. My mind has been teeming with visualizations of everything that I have planned for the near future, everything that's on the near horizon. A couple of those some things are gonna pop off in my career, so my income should be increasing pretty soon. I have things planned for organic growth, business plans with these luxury face masks. We plan on getting a booth at a farmer's market out here in Las Vegas to sell Stay Healthy on a Hater juice glasses and smoothie cups, as well as those face masks, as well as alkaline bust down green juice and smoothies. Yes, indeed. We just really want to be out in the community on a regular basis, being able to just socialize with people, sell products. I'm going to be doing image consulting soon, so that'll be good for the networking, to meet people and explain to them how we can provide some image consulting services for them. And in addition to that, I am going to be participating in the Yoga Olympics this year, and I've already started training. I started last week, so I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be going very hard with the yoga, and I'm also going to be in yoga teacher training with the IRI Agency. Shout out to the IRI Agency, yes indeed. So this year, the next 6 months are going to be full of just a bunch of me working towards my goals. So I gotta stay healthy. I must drink my green juices. I must drink my smoothies at midnight sometimes. I gotta keep my supplement game on point, and I gotta make sure that all of my meals are organic alkaline bust down, so I can stay healthy out here and just pursue these goals and get a little bit closer and have the sufficient energy needed to penetrate and move towards where I'm going, so I don't gas out on the interstate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast episode that I'm getting into tonight, this one is titled Dealing with Depression. And the reason that I'm so excited to share this one with you specifically, the thing that I'm most passionate about speaking about on this platform, this podcast, and through Organic Growth Nation, is basically fundamental self-development. Our motto at Organic Growth Nation is, our daily habits, routines, and rituals determine the quality of our life. And I fully believe that when we get up every morning and we start our day, how we think, the actual habits, the habitual patterns that we have in place of how we start our day, how we think about our day, how we picture our day, our week, our month, our future, the actions that we take. In self-development, something I learned some years back was the concept of a self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's called TAR. It stands for thoughts, actions, and reactions. The way you think actually influences the chemistry of your body, and it affects ultimately your vibe. And that's going to impact, in a positive or a negative way, the quality of the actions that you take. So you can take the right actions, but if the person taking the action has low vibe thoughts, low quality thoughts, thoughts that are self-defeating, then the actions are going to be filled with that energy. There's a saying in philosophy, who you are is so loud I can't hear what you're saying, because the vibe and the essence that you put out really affects what you're doing more than what you're doing, if that makes any sense. And when you act, that vibe and the action you're taking is going to affect the reactions that you get from people, the world, and whatever it is that you're pursuing. So again, if you think, I'm unworthy, this probably won't work, and I don't deserve this, and then you go and you try to implement a business plan, you try to present your business idea to another person. You see a beautiful woman that you like, and you're like, you know what, she's probably not going to be into me because I'm not that successful and I suck with girls. And then you actually go and speak and introduce yourself to the woman. the way you do it is going to be tainted with that energy. And then in that business meeting, when you presented that idea, the people are going to react. So you could be saying all the right things, you could be articulate, you could be clear in communication, but if they can just feel that through your vibe and your essence, it's just tainted with this fucked up energy about how you feel about your business idea and it working and the fact that you're never going to be successful, they're going to reject you, just like that woman would do if you had that mentality behind the actions. You could do and say, quote unquote, the right things, but again, she's just going to feel the vibe is off and she's just not going to fuck with it, so she'll reject you. So again, a self-fulfilling prophecy, the way we actually move through our life determines the quality of our life. Now, I'm gonna give you a few personal updates. Today, I swung by the North Premium Outlets out here in Vegas and I hit up that Lululemon, and they actually put me in a virtual line. So I had to sign up as if there was actually a line out the store. I had to sign up on their tablet, and I had an hour-long wait on the line for people ahead of me because of capacity, you know what I'm saying, COVID. It's just hilarious the way our world is moving. Like, I never thought I'd be in a virtual line before, so I just had to bounce and just went to go get some food and peeped around some other stores. But in Lululemon, I got some new yoga shorts. Good job, Lululemon. And I also got some socks. I actually got some dress socks that I'm wearing right now from Lululemon. They're like cut in such a way where they kind of grip underneath the arch of your foot, has a very slightly padded heel and a slightly padded toe, and they're hella comfortable. Like, all my fellas, you need to go get you a pair of commission pants or the ABC, the anti-ball crusher pants. And the reason they're called that is because the way they're stitched around the crotch is to create more room for the groin, so that when you're sitting down or when you're walking around and stuff, you're not like cramped, you know what I mean? It's more breathable. Trust me, when you wear the Lemon pants, you will not want to go back to regular denims and other pants just for your day-to-day wear, you know? So when I'm in the office, I probably have about 6 pair of Lululemon pants. They are kind of expensive. They run around $129, but I have about 6 of those that I'll wear pretty much through the office during my week. Just very comfortable. And it's also a very versatile pant. If you're traveling, you could have on like a black pair of ABCs, and let's say you had on a black polo or a button down, or a white polo or a button down, and a pair of dress shoes. You could be, going about your day, running some errands. Maybe you have an important business meeting to go to. You could throw on a blazer and it'll work with the lemons. So you have that comfort moving around through the day, but then you can also kind of dress it up a little bit more formally if you have like a nice dinner or some kind of function to attend. So that's a little bit of style advice for all my fellas out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get into this self-development game this evening. Again, we are talking about depression, which I understand for many people can be a very real challenge in life. And I know that this could be a sensitive topic. And this is something that I take seriously. I myself, and I know that you probably would not guess this based on like how you see me on Instagram, but I myself, for the first part of my life, all of my adolescence and much of my early adulthood, I would say that I was in a deep state of chronic depression. So I fully understand the subject matter. I do know what it is to be in a deep state of depression. So this isn't something that I take lightly. And the reason that I feel that I can speak on it is because, fortunately, and what I'm really grateful for, is that I was actually able to get to a place where 90 to 95% of my year, how I wake up in the morning and how I end my day, I genuinely am in a really great mood. Like the way you see me in my stories, the way you see me out and about if you happen to live in Vegas or wherever, that really is me. Like, that's not me putting on a front. I really am a genuinely happy person. And I thank God and the universe, and I'm just so grateful every day that I've got out of that place of depression to where I could just be happy. There's nothing that I'm more grateful for than my happiness at this point in my life. So I'm going to give you the knowledge that I applied in my life that lifted me from depression. And don't get me wrong, my mood does oscillate. That's normal. But I have normal moods now, not like, moods that are at this great place of a low where you feel borderline suicidal and like you can't really imagine a better future for yourself. So again, yeah, I'm gonna explain to you exactly what I did to get to where I'm at in life now. So let's get into this, but let me switch up the music real quick. So I can really allow myself to get into a flow state and spit this knowledge for you. Okay. So when it comes to dealing with depression, the first thing that we're going to get into tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of depression. And there are many, but one of the definitions that I've come across that really makes a lot of sense to me is that depression is the inability to imagine a better future. And the reason I like that definition is because it separates depression from simply being in a bad mood or being a little bit sad or melancholy. Depression is where you literally are at the mental state and the emotional state to where your thoughts and your ability to look out into the future. So right now it's February. You know, you can look at spring, you can look at summer, you can look at the upcoming fall. And if you can't imagine yourself being in a place where you are happy and content and satisfied and actually enjoying the situation of your life at that time, that would be what I would consider depressed. You know, many of us, we are in toxic relationships. You know, you might be in a bad financial situation to where you're living paycheck to paycheck, or even worse, you can't actually make all your bills, or you don't have enough money to eat comfortably. And you know, you don't have the money to provide the basic necessities that you actually need for living. If you can't look into the near future and see yourself being out of that, having healthier relationships that are not toxic, moving, you know, being in a working situation where you actually enjoy what you do for a living. So if we're in a place where all we can picture is the discontent of the situation that we're in and situations being similar to it, that is what depression is. And what causes depression is that when we're going through life, we're faced with certain circumstances and situations and stimuli meaning basically any thought, something that you see, another person, a place, could be a song, whatever, just a stimuli. Anytime we're going through a certain experience or faced with a certain stimuli, those things, cut the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm about to get into the deep knowledge of this subject matter, dealing with depression. Now, before I do, I want to say this. This is a subject matter that I do take very seriously. This is not something I take lightly. I know that depression is something that dramatically affects a lot of people's lives, to the point where it can even take lives, ruin relationships, and pretty much make people's lives miserable. And, you know, in our culture, we don't talk a lot about things like depression. We don't talk a lot about things related to people going through traumas and actually dealing with the challenges that they face with their emotions and their mental health after the fact. And I think the reason is because we have this thing where people don't like coming off like a victim. And I think there's a lot of shame around admitting to yourself and having other people see, you know, your challenges on display, you struggling to make it through certain things mentally and emotionally, financially, in terms of your relationships and your lifestyle overall. And, you know, in our culture on social media these days, it's very normal for people to pretty much only post the positives. We go on social media and we like to flex and show off about the nice things that we have. We like to show how great our relationship is. We like to show all the beautiful, dope, fancy places that we travel to. We like to show people us happy. You know, we're never in any kind of oscillating moods. And I think that attributes to like the alienation of when you're going through a challenge or an adversity, and it's actually brought you into a place where your mental health is compromised and your emotional health has been compromised and you're sad. and you're not happy and you don't feel good and optimistic about the future, and you feel like things are not going well for you and you don't really know what to do to get out of the situation you're in. And then you go through social media and you see, well, damn, all my friends are living good. You know, everybody that I'm connected to on social media, their lifestyle seems to be going great. So I feel like I'm the only person going through this. Like, I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing kind of in the closet, like in the isolation. I wake up in my house. Maybe you have roommates. Maybe you live alone. Nonetheless, you wake up probably alone. You take your shower. You know, you go through your morning. Automatically, you have certain thoughts and moods that are just kind of lingering over you and creating a kind of a heavy, dense energy within you, within your space. And then you get in your car by yourself. You go to work. You work, but around work, nobody talks about certain personal things, and nobody really cares to understand what it is that you're actually going through, because they're focused on the concerns and the demands of their job. So then you leave work, once again, you're back in your car by yourself, or maybe you're on public transportation, but you have your headphones in and everybody's disconnected, nobody's talking. So you have your commute back home, you go back into your room by yourself, maybe you watch Netflix, maybe you play video games, maybe you read or something like that. You know, you thumb through social media. Once again, it looks like everybody's living great except me. So we find ourselves in modern society because of the alienation and the separation that we have from one another. We don't have a community. We don't have a sense of belonging to a tight group of people of around 20 to 100, where they know us, we know them, we understand what they're going through. We support them when we can with whatever, in any manner that we can, and we have that communal support. And we were designed to live like that. There's actually a really great book, I'll show you. You know, I always keep books on hand. It's called Tribe, written by Sebastian Junger, and it explains why we have so much depression persistent in our culture, and it's because of the lack of community and the alienation that we experience. We're social creatures, and we need to be around others to feel, we need to feel like we have a sense of belonging to the community and a sense of importance in the community in order to feel fulfilled in our brains. That's just how we're wired through evolution, because we come from tribes. Anyway, what I want to talk about, I have some notes here on what we can do on a day-to-day basis practically to help us elevate our mental state and our emotional state so that we can elevate above chronic depression. You know, there may be times it's normal for you to have natural ups and downs with your mood, but they shouldn't be extreme. There shouldn't be like regular days throughout your year where you feel suicidal, where you feel extremely heavy and dense and in like a lot of pain. You can feel a lot of tension and constriction in your body. The first thing I want to talk about is the definition of depression. And there are many out there in the scientific and in the communities that study this. But the one that I've come across that I like the most is a very simple one. It says, depression is the inability to imagine a better future for yourself. And the reason that I like that is because it separates depression from gloom or sadness. You know, you might have a day or a part of a day where you feel kind of sad. You know, maybe you were talking to a significant other and y'all kind of stopped talking. Maybe something happened at work with your family, something relatively normal, and you might feel a little sad for a couple of hours, maybe a whole day. That's normal. That's not depression. Depression is when you find yourself in the actual mental state where you cannot picture a better future for yourself. So right now it's February 2021, and if you are looking at the spring, summer, or fall, and you know, you may be in a toxic relationship, you may be in a toxic work situation, you may be in a really challenging financial situation where you don't have all the basic necessities that you need for living, or you're just extremely stressed living paycheck to paycheck. And these things make you wake up every day and experience a domination of negative emotions. If you can't picture in the next, like I said, spring, summer, or fall, you being out of that relationship and possibly in a better one, or maybe being by yourself and just healing, but being happier on a day-to-day basis. If you can't picture yourself having a little bit more money so you're not so financially challenged, or to where you don't have to spend time where you're late on rent and you don't have adequate food, if you can't picture yourself being in a more healthy work situation, maybe in a career that you actually enjoy, that you're moving towards, if you can't see forward growth in your life, I would define that as depression. And the first thing we have to do is actually admit to ourselves that we are depressed. And it doesn't make you a victim to say that to yourself. Like, that's not you being defeated in your mentality. We have to acknowledge where we really are in our mental and emotional state. So if you are in that place where you can't picture a better future than yourself, that is a departure from the reality of how we need to be living to live a fulfilling and joyous life. So the first step, once again, simply acknowledge that you're in a state of depression. And I want to get into what causes depression. You know, a lot of times in life, we go through certain experiences that can be traumatic. It could be situations that caused us harm, maybe situations that took us through a lot of loss. There's various ways that you can be traumatized, but many times when you are traumatized by an event, what happens is, or it could be a very long-term event, by the way, when you're traumatized by a particular event, the pain actually gets trapped inside your subconscious mind. The pain actually gets trapped in your body, in your actual physiology, because when you have the experience and you're processing it psychologically, the emotions run through your body. You know, the adrenaline, the cortisol, and everything starts pumping through your bloodstream. And then you actually experience physical tension in your muscular system, in your face, in your throat, in your chest, in your belly. Whenever you go through a lot of trauma, a lot of times you get so much rigidity in the muscles of the front part of your body where you actually, through your face, express happiness with laughter. In your throat, the ability to just breathe in through a soft throat so that you can fill up your belly with air, and then up into your chest where your heart is, where your energy is more expansive. So the trauma gets trapped first in the subconscious mind, and then second in the body by way of the nervous system. And when you're going through a certain situation, you know, let's say you're going through a financial challenge, or let's say you're in a toxic relationship, being in that situation creates certain thought patterns. And the longer you're exposed to the situation, the thought patterns actually start developing neural pathways in your brain. So for example, if you're walking through the woods and you're on an unbeaten path, so you're just walking somewhere through the woods, you have to move branches and twigs out the way, you have to move the brush. You know, you have a hard time getting through because it's an unfamiliar path, it's not been worn down yet. And the same thing, and that's kind of how it is in your mind. You have these, in the neurons in your brain, electricity fires from neuron to neuron, creating synaptic pathways. And the more those synaptic pathways actually fire with electricity, that particular thought pattern, for example, it becomes easier and easier for your brain to actually utilize that pathway because there's less resistance, because there's more, the electrical currents are more familiar with moving in that direction. So let's say that you're in a relationship where someone is beating you down mentally and they're telling you you're not shit. You know, you might be a woman getting mentally abused and your man is telling you, you know, I don't like the way your hair looks that way. I get tired of your moods. Being around you is irritating and frustrating and stressful. And then you start thinking to yourself, okay, I'm ugly. There's something wrong with my mood. The way that I act isn't good enough. I need to hide these things about myself. You have those specific thoughts and you're with this man month to month. And what'll happen is, as he gives you that verbal abuse, you'll keep having those thoughts. You'll keep having those thoughts. Every time it happens over the months, you're developing strength in those thoughts. So let's say you get to the point where you actually muster the courage and the decisiveness to leave the relationship. And you do leave the relationship. You cut the man off. You don't have his number. You're not connected on social media. You no longer live together. Okay. So now you don't have him as a part of your daily life, and you're not even being presented with the stimuli of him because you deleted all his pictures and y'all never run into each other in town. Now, you've already developed the neural pathways of thinking about yourself in certain ways because of the experiences that you went through with that man. So what's going to happen is still after the trauma, you think that removing the thing making you a victim is actually going to, like, having that negativity out of your life. You would think that would get rid of the depressive mood, because obviously when you're around somebody who's talking shit to you on a regular basis, that's by itself is going to make you depressed. But now we got to address your mind, because you've already developed a neural pathway, a way of thinking that's going to influence how you think on a day-to-day basis. So now when you go out into the world and you go to work, or let's say, no, not even that, you're at your house, you're getting ready, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're doing your hair. You remember him telling you how you don't look good with your hair that way. And what's going to happen is every time you see your hair that way, you're going to have that thought for yourself. Oh, my hair looks like shit this way, so I'm going to change it up. When I wear certain clothes like this, maybe I wear nice dresses that make my body look good. But he always talks shit to you because of his insecurities and jealousness. So now anytime you thinking about dressing up at all, you have doubts and insecurities in your thoughts just repeating themselves from when you were in that relationship. Now when you go out in the world, you go run your errands, you're meeting people out in the community, you're face to face with people, someone gives you a compliment on your hair, you should feel good about that. But because of the trauma that you experienced and that pathway you developed in terms of thinking, you say thank you, but in your real mind, you're actually thinking, oh, my hair looks bad. And that, like, insecurity just lingers with you. And then you go to work and, your coworkers are in there and they're like, oh, hey, Alexa, it's great to see you. And because you've already been abused to the point where you think that there's something wrong with your personality and your mood, you say, oh, thank you, good to see you too. But in your mind, in your body, you're going to actually have the physical reactions and the mental thoughts that took place in those moments where you were being verbally abused. So those emotions are going to come triggered up every single time you have a stimuli that kind of reminds you of what you were going through in the past. So you find yourself in a place a month, 2 months, maybe longer after the relationship where the emotions are still there. The way of thinking is still there, and the tension in your body is still there. And now you don't know what to do, because you're like, damn, I got rid of the thing that I thought was ruining my life and making me depressed, but I still feel the same way. So there must be something wrong with me. You might even become self-identified to the thoughts and the emotions that you were experiencing in that relationship, because now, even though you're out of the relationship, you're still thinking that way. So you're like, well, maybe this is who I am. And then when you move forward with the identity on top of the fact that you have those neural pathways of thinking beaten in, and that physical muscle memory of the tension in your body. So now you have all the tension, the ways of thinking, and now you identify as this person. So when you move months, maybe a year later, maybe 2 years later, you basically just deepen into being that person where you genuinely do think you have a fucked up mood, and maybe your mood starts becoming fucked up. Maybe you do start becoming an irritating person to be around. You actually just, everything you think about yourself is negative. You used to think you were beautiful prior to that experience, and then you started having doubts and insecurities. Now you think you're ugly. Now you just don't even try to take care of your appearance altogether. You avoid mirrors. You may develop low-key body dysmorphia, and then you start having more relationships with people who see you the way you see yourself. Because when you see yourself a particular way, you're going to attract the attention of people who actually see you that way too. So you may have been in a relationship with an abusive partner who was abusing you simply to control you. He might have thought you were beautiful, but in order to control you, he needs to lower how you feel about yourself and poison drip you with negativity so that your radiance won't shine and he won't lose you to another man when you're out and about going through the world. But now you've internalized actually feeling ugly and like you're unappealing and unpleasing to be around. And so you're going to kind of act and behave that way. Again, that self-fulfilling prophecy of your thoughts, actions, and reactions. And now you're going to attract more people who see you in a poor light. And then the reinforcement of how they look at you, how they treat you, how they relate to you is going to further reinforce the negative mental thoughts and the negative moods and the emotions. So you're going to sink deeper into a depression. And what'll happen is, there's something, I learned this from a man named Elliot Hulse. I highly recommend looking him up on YouTube. Just go to Elliot Hulse. Go to YouTube, type in Elliot Hulse. And he has this thing where he talks about using bioenergetics to use vibrations in your body to physically break up tension in your muscular system so that oxygen and your energy can flow through you unrestricted. But anyway, in one of his videos, the video is insane. You have to watch it. It's like 4 minutes. It's called Brain Slave No More. So Elliot Hulse on YouTube, Brain Slave No More, bioenergetics. In the video, he's like shaking and stuff and doing his bioenergetic exercises. And he's talking to the camera, and he has this one point where he said, when you were going through school or when you were born, you had parents and they maybe abused you. Maybe they said things about how you're not that intelligent, you need to be realistic, and you're not really good enough to have the ambitious dreams that you have. And then you get into school and your teachers say, you're not doing well, you're not performing well, you're not a good student, you're going to have an average life, and you're not going to be successful because of the way that you are. And then you get into your adult life and you start getting in relationships with people who abuse you, whatever, right? He says, at first, you were a victim. You were the individual who was at the mercy of being treated by people during your dependence. So it's not your fault that if you're growing up and you have abusive parents, that puts you into a negative state, or that lowers your self-esteem. That's not your fault, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're in school and you're suffering mental abuse from your teachers and your peer group, again, you're not an adult yet. You don't have control over your surroundings. So you being forced to be in those situations and then being negatively damaged by it, that's not your fault. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed about. But then in your adult life, you do have the ability to control your environment. We have the ability to control who we decide to be in relationships and what we do with our life and how we live our day every day. And what happens is, when we were dependents, you were kind of like a prisoner. You're in a prison to a certain degree. But in your adult life, because of your identity and the fact that you have internalized those thoughts, those emotions, and that self-image, you become the prison guard, keeping yourself in that mental prison. Whereas at first, it may have been your abusive mother, father, or relative or guardian. Now, or a teacher, now it's you actually on the other side every morning that you wake up, telling yourself certain things, giving yourself certain thoughts, which then create emotions in your body. Emotions that last a long time are a mood. So now you have moods that are low, and you do this to yourself week after week, month after month, year after year, until you are depressed and you can't see a better future and you're not happy. But the thing is, you have to get to the point to where we can look in the mirror and say, I'm not going to continue entrapping myself in this place of depression. I do have control. I can open the door, metaphorically, to the prison that I've placed myself in emotionally, and I can allow myself to go back out in the sunshine and look at the skies and look out at the world and think about a better future for myself. I can grant myself the permission to look in the mirror and say to myself, you know what, you are beautiful. You are someone who deserves to have a good life. You can achieve the things that you desire, and we are not going to live this life any longer. As an adult, in control of your surroundings, you have the ability to do that every day. You can make better choices you can decide, I'm going to get up every morning and I'm going to start doing a gratitude journal, and I'm going to read from a positive book. Maybe I'm going to read The Power of Positive Living today for 30 minutes, and I'm going to meditate for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to listen to positive music. I'm not going to listen to music that reminds me of the traumatic things and the low emotional states that I used to exist in, because memories are state access dependent. Whenever you hear, this is why people love breakup songs, because they're addicted to and they have a self-image where they identify with like toxic relationships and heartbreak, and people love these heartbreak love songs. like Adele's music, for example, because when you hear the music, it puts you into that mood. You actually transmute the mood that the artist was in when you hear it. Like music, when it penetrates your body and hits your, through your ears into your brain, it creates chemicals literally that come into your body and affect you. So music is like medicine, or it's like a drug, depending on whether or not it's healthy or toxic. But your memories are state access dependent. So if you find yourself gravitating towards certain songs over and over on loop in your playlist, what's happening is when you're listening to those, the mood it creates inside of you is making you remember your own tragedy and your heartbreak and your toxic relationships. So one thing that you got to do is start listening to more positive music on a regular basis. You want to listen to music that is inspiring. If you're going to listen to music about love, make it be something romantic. Make it be something uplifting. Healthy relationships, good sex, relationships where you have great chemistry with a partner, where you're falling in love, not where you're heartbroken or you're in an unhealthy situation. Anyway, I'm off the music thing. So let me give you, because I was kind of just flowing and freestyling right then, let me give y'all some very specific daily tips that you can put in place to start uplifting yourself, retraining yourself on how to think so that you can have better emotions, better moods, and more effective actions so that you can grow. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to get into this real quick game. So practical steps. The first step is that when you wake up every morning, what you should do is start your day grounded in gratitude. Open your blinds, turn on your lights, make your bed. Actually, let me back up. The first tip that I have for you that you can apply every day to start improving your thoughts, your emotions, and your mood and the quality of your actions is to implement a daily morning routine. So a morning routine is basically just a set things you do every time you get up that you don't have to think about, that you make a habit. It needs to be something quick, easy to do, and something that's not easily compromised if you happen to wake up late or if you have somewhere very important to be that morning. So let me give you an example of my morning routine. The first thing I do, I get up, I open the blinds. Before I do shit, I look out the window and I do a very quick gratitude prayer. You can even do this in bed before you actually get out of bed, but I learned this because I grew up Christian and I was taught to pray before your feet hit the bed every morning. So I just implemented that thought process to the gratitude prayer. So I'm laying in bed and I'll say, or I'm actually up looking out the window and I'll say, I'm so thankful and grateful for this day. Another day that I'm alive. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for these clear, beautiful blue skies. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for the fact that my lights work. I'm grateful for all of the organic, alkaline, bust-down produce inside my refrigerator and on my countertops. I'm grateful for these beautiful plants that bring beautiful energy into my apartment. I'm grateful for all of my fly clothes. I'm grateful for all of my hygiene products. I'm grateful that I have running hot water. I'm grateful. Anyway, so I'll just say a quick gratitude prayer. And you want to give thanks for the small things. The things that you have, yourself, and the world around you. There are miracles taking place out in the world right now that make it possible for us to still be alive as humans, to be in livable conditions. Every day you have sunlight that nourishes your body and keeps you going. You have water. We have fresh air. Those three things right there are miracles that take place every moment of every day that you can ground yourself in gratitude for. Every single thing that you have that you take for granted on a day-to-day basis in your place, give thanks for that starting now, moving forward every morning. So those are some easy things you can do with your gratitude prayer. Now, the next thing that I'll do is I'll simply tidy up my place. And I'll make it quick. I'm not doing any deep cleaning. I'm wiping off countertops. I'm folding my bed spread and sheets, putting it away, and I'm tidying up the bathroom. The next thing I'll do, I'll take a shower, and I'll always play some like uplifting grinding music. So for me, that's probably some Larry June or some Nipsey Hussle victory lap or something like that. Just something that gets me inspired and ready to just get out here and grind another day. After I get out the shower, I always put on good clothes, and I highly recommend this for everyone too. I learned this from this millionaire back when I was only 18, and he said, when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, good things happen. So make yourself look good every day. Get clean, do your hair, get moisturized, put on a nice pressed outfit, and then that's how you want to start your day. Because when you look in the mirror, you're going to start your day by feeling good about yourself. Unconsciously, when you allow yourself to wear sweats, your hair looks kind of raggedy, unconsciously, and you can disagree with me if you want to, that is making you feel bad about yourself because you're not putting in the effort to take care of your appearance for yourself. The next thing I'll do is I'll make a cup of coffee, and I'll usually make either a smoothie or some juice. After that, I'm ready. I leave my apartment, get in the whip, head towards work. I started my day on the right foot. I do that every day without fail. So that's the first thing. The next tip that I have for us, ladies and gentlemen, is we need to learn how to talk up on some fly shit. Every day, we need to use empowering words. We need to change our vocabulary to where we're not saying things that are self-defeating, self-deprecating, uninspiring, and just failure-based. So a lot of us, we start our day, somebody asks us how we're doing. We're like, oh, I'm doing all right today. Today's just another day. I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make it. Down in the South, everybody's like, oh, another day, another dollar. So we get used to, and we think that there's nothing wrong with talking like this when we're interacting with people and ourselves. You don't think there's any harm in it, but what you're doing is you're training your mind. When you tell yourself, yeah, I'm doing okay today, or I'm just getting by, your brain tells every single cell in your body, the millions of cells, to organize and move in such a way so that you are just getting by. And you hold yourself back with how you talk and think about yourself and your life. So take heed. The next tip that I have for us, ladies and gentlemen, on how we can elevate this mood is to develop more empowering body language. Now, there is scientific proof that if you were to stand up right now, put your hands on your hips, lift your chin, laugh ecstatically, the laughter that you actually experience, even if there's actually nothing that you're genuinely laughing about, the laughter creates chemicals in your brain that then go into your body through your bloodstream. You create serotonin and dopamine in your brain that makes you feel happy. So you can literally just set a timer for 1 minute and just laugh for 1 minute every morning, or whenever you feel a need to just boost yourself with some positive emotions. And it will work. It's fail-proof. When you become depressed, like I said, a lot of it is that you have this tension in the muscular system of the front part of your body. Your energy becomes withdrawn when you are depressed. So one thing that you want to start doing is you want to learn to start softening the muscles of your face, soften the muscles of your throat, your chest, and your belly, so that air and energy can flow unimpeded up and down in circulation in the front part of your body. When you have that tension, energy gets trapped in your head, energy gets trapped in the lower part of your body, and it can't flow. Think about it like water. If water becomes trapped and sitting in one spot, that water will eventually become stagnant and putrid. And the same thing happens with your energy. Energy needs to flow. So, one thing that you can do, again, do the laughing technique, and just consciously think about breathing deeply into your pelvic floor at the bottom of your belly, almost as if you were breathing into your feet. And then allow the air to then push and press and flow upward, opening your chest cavity. Okay, when you breathe in initially, allow the air to come in through a soft face. Like, you can do breathing practices where you set a timer for 3 minutes and just practice the unimpeded flow of breath moving through your body. And this will get you used to doing that, so that when you go about your day, you just do that a little bit more naturally. And then over the years, you'll get better and better at it. And then eventually you'll have a nice flow of energy through your body. Another thing that I recommend would be relaxation exercises. Just go on Google and type some in, go to YouTube, look some up. But again, a very basic way to do it: set you a timer, get into a comfortable chair, play some meditation music or some soothing R&B or whatever your vibe is, and just sit back and practice feeling every muscle relax from head to toe. You want to start with your face, so you literally feel the crown of your head, the muscles around your head relax. And then you move to your tension and your forehead, and you allow your eyebrows to relax a little bit more and your temples to soften. And then you allow the muscles around your eyes to relax, the muscles around your nose and your cheek to relax. Your jaw softens, your tongue removes itself from the roof of the mouth and it relaxes in the middle of your mouth. And then you move to your neck, your shoulders relax down, your chest relaxes. You allow your belly to flop and open up. A lot of us walk around with a lot of tension in our stomach because we don't want to show people, we want to, literally hold it in so we look thinner. This is unhealthy for you. You will create muscular knots in your belly that make it difficult for you to breathe deeply and bring energy deep into your body. So relax your belly, relax your pelvic floor, relax your anus. You know how we have this popular saying where we like to say people are tight asses? Well, that's because people literally do walk around with a lot of tension in that anus, like they have a twig stuck up there. So relax that. Relax your thighs, relax your glutes, your thighs, your calves, your feet, all the way to your fingertips. And you should feel so heavy. And in that moment where the heaviness persists in your body, moment to moment, you will start feeling good. You're letting go. A lot of our energy goes to the unconscious tension that we have gripping and tightening certain muscles in our body. Could even be your hand. Think about how much energy you would lose if you squeezed your fist and just walked around all day with your fist squeezed. What you don't know is you probably do have muscles that you're doing that to. You're just so used to doing it that you can't really detect it. So that was tip number 3, practice empowering body postures. Now, my next one is going to be practice daily affirmations. When you go into the mirror, and you can actually go back to my other podcast episodes and see me do affirmations and flow and stuff like that to get a sense of how to do it. Basically, though, when you go into your mirror, you want to practice the mirror technique. Look deeply into your eyes, set a timer for 3 minutes, play a positive, inspirational song like Safe and Sound by Capital City. And looking into your eyes, you want to look almost as if you're looking into your soul, connecting with yourself, feeling your heart moment by moment. While you say the words, I am abundant, I am successful, I'm deserving of a good life, I am beautiful, I'm handsome, I have an incredible mouthpiece, I am going to achieve the things I set my mind to. When you're saying these things over and over, day after day, you, just like that abusive lover who used to tell you what they didn't like about you, tell you how you're not beautiful, tell you how you're not going to achieve the things, your goals and dreams are silly. They didn't take you seriously. And you internalize those patterns of thought. Through affirmations, you can be that lover you need for yourself and actually tell yourself empowering things and retrain how you think about yourself. And eventually, those neural pathways will actually make strong connections in your brain, and without trying, you will just think that way about yourself. And then again, here we go back to that self-fulfilling prophecy. The way you think will affect your emotions, which will affect your actions, which will affect the reactions that you get out in the real world. So ladies and gentlemen, yes indeed, do not underestimate the power of affirmations. Now, the last thing that I'm going to leave you with tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is, and I actually paid for a consultation, a holistic health consultation with a man named Brother Polite in 2019. And he gave me the holistic health curriculum. And that curriculum was people, air, sunlight, water, and food. And people were at the top of the list because you can get everything else right with your health. You can get you can get fresh air on a regular basis. You can have air filters in your house. You can get an adequate amount of sunlight. Most people, about 80% of Americans, are vitamin D deficient. Let's say that's not you, and you do get adequate sunlight. You can drink healthy alkaline water, spring water. You can drink enough of it so that you're always hydrated. You can even be a vegan. You can be a person who eats organic foods, free-range chicken, cage-free eggs, whatever, right? You can be very healthy with all of those things. But if you find yourself in toxic relationships with your family, with your lovers, with your friends, or your coworkers, you will still find yourself in a state of dis-ease. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with is learn how to check them and charge them. Ladies and gentlemen, when someone disrespects you or gives you some toxic energy, no matter who it is, as adults, if that is not a person who is dependent upon you as their guardian and they are handicapped, it is time for you to check that individual one time. Hey, what you just said about the way that I look or how I irritate you, I don't appreciate that, and I would appreciate that if you would respect me and not do that again. And they do it again, it's time for you to take that motherfucking cape off. You are not a Captain Save 'em. It is not your job to love someone so much that you heal them and then they become a person who treats you and others better. In your mind, you paint them to be a victim. You're like, well, the reason they did that is just because they had a rough upbringing. It's not because they don't love me. The reason they did that is because they're going through a lot of challenges at work. They're just really stressed. That all might be true, but at the end of the day, you are not and cannot be responsible for how another person behaves. What another person who is an adult chooses to do is literally outside of your control. You can't do anything about it. So you, most importantly, simply just need to protect your own safety. If someone is hurting you and abusing you, you check them once, and the second one, you charge them. What that means is they go on the charged list. You go to Instagram, you remove them from your followers, you unfollow them, you delete their number and all of y'all's text messages, and they no longer exist. If they decide to come back into your life with a sincere apology, and you can tell that they understand and they have the awareness of what they did, how it wasn't okay, and how it was their responsibility, and they make zero excuses, and they say that they are going to make a concerted effort to work on themselves so they can treat you better, that is the only time that you would ever consider letting that person back into your life. I still don't think you should do it, because they knew what they were doing when they did what they did, and most people are not about that action of change. It is hard to change as a person. You can do it. I've done it. I have people in my life now who have definitely done things that I shouldn't have done to them, but I put in the effort to change, and so I was able to be in that relationship in a healthy way. So I earned their trust. I earned having them in my life. And the reality is, anytime I have done something fucked up to somebody, I knew I was doing it. Whether or not I could help myself, whatever, I knew I was doing it, and I did it anyway. It was my choice, my responsibility. So again, take that cape off, leave it at the dry cleaners, stop trying to save everybody. Get people who want to be in your life. Get people who are going to treat you the right way the first time. Those people exist. You don't have to stay in relationships with people who make you depressed and make you feel lower than who you are. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell y'all what I do. If you hit that charged list in Cameron Devon Cruz's life, you only got two ways of getting back. You're going to pay me, and you're going to pay with either time or money. The government, anytime they want to have power and control over their domain, their space. If when somebody breaks a law, they get charged for two things: time and money. You gonna do time in prison, or you gonna pay that fee. Because you knew what you did, you knew you shouldn't have did it, but you did it anyway, so it's time to pay. In Cameron Devine Cruz life, if you do some fucked up shit to me, you gonna catch airwaves every time you call me for about a year or more, if I ever answer, or you gonna pay me about 3,000 of them things. Sock it to my pocket, not later, not next month, not when you save it up, right now. And if you can't pay the price, you're gonna remain on that list. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was it. I really hope that some of this game that we shared and covered tonight helps you, and I hope you find it applicable. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, this is what I told you is the thing I'm most passionate about, just talking about self-development and how we can empower ourselves to live better and be more happy and be more powerful. So, I hope y'all have a fabulous weekend. Stay up, stay blessed, stay motivated. I'm Ohala.